Hi everybody, it's me, Agnes, and today I'm going to show you how I varnish a painting. So there are many different types of varnish. The main two categories there are sprays and then there are the brush-on type. And so I thought I'd go through the different products and the different finishes and different ways that you can varnish your paintings. So it's December here in Wisconsin. I could step outside on my patio and I have a table dedicated for placing my artwork on, and then I'll take a can out and I'll spray with one of my spray varnishes. This one is probably my favorite because it's a satin. Its type is probably flopped backwards, but you can get this at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, and you can get, this one is in a satin finish. This is a really good one to use, and also the Grumbacher is an even better one. It's a little bit pricier, about $15, but you can use this on oil paints as well, and I do sometimes do oil paintings. So the one thing I want you to understand is that you should probably check the can for instructions. You don't want to spray this inside ever. I mean, it really is damaging to your lungs, and you don't want to breathe that stuff. So today I'm going to show you how I varnish with a brush-on varnish. And I was going to show you this one. This one is one that I've used the most on my paintings. And I realized I didn't have it completely closed and it's all yucky and dried out. So I won't be showing you this one today. I'm going to be buying another can of this soon. And just as a tip, it's a good idea to have one of these guys hanging around so that you can open up cans like this. So that one is, this one, it's by Minwax, it's polyacrylic. I have read on a lot of artist websites, a lot of people use this. This is a really popular one, and inexpensive, and you'll get a lot of use out of this. So I would definitely suggest that one if you like satin. As far as what finish you should use, it's a preference thing. Gloss is really pretty, but it's a little bit difficult to actually see the artwork sometimes. I really do like matte a lot, but I think satin is probably the most popular. And satin is a mixture of 50-50 matte varnish and gloss varnish, just like in paint finishes. So I have a satin one by Jerry's. Jerry's Artorama is someone I order a lot from this place. I love this place. And I have used, this is an excellent product. I have used this as a thinning medium in my paints. I've also used it as a glue for gluing on glitters and collaging papers onto a canvas. And also it works very well as a final coat. And if you're not sure of a product, you should always just read the label. It says right on here that this is definitely a varnish that can be used for, you know, archival collages and even image transfers, and as a final coat acrylic. So, and it cleans up with soap and water. All of these clean up with soap and water. A new one, I just bought this. This is a matte varnish by Blick. I bought to go along with my matte acrylic paints. I haven't tried this yet. And the reason why I put this one here, I thought I'd use this today, and then I looked at the label, I followed my own advice, and I realized this actually is not a final varnish. So it can be really confusing. That's why it's a good idea to check labels. This is actually really only a thinning medium to mix with paints. It's slow drying, so you wouldn't want to use this as a final coat. So those are some different products that you can use, different varnishes. And then as far as tools, you want a nice, if you're going to do the brush option with a bristle brush, I would use a soft bristle brush, really soft, not a stiff bristle, because a stiff bristle is just going to make it more difficult for it to flatten out. You want a nice flat, even coat of varnish. As it's drying, it flattens, but you may as well help the process by using a soft bristle brush. And you can get these at the craft stores. This is an example of how it came. Not that particular one, but you can get these. They're very inexpensive. You could also use a foam brush. I didn't have a wide one to show you today, but foam brushes work really well. or, you know, just a regular paintbrush. Here's one of my Royal Soft Grip brushes. You definitely want to dedicate a brush just for varnishing, and you definitely want to wash it out right away as soon as you're done varnishing. The other thing I've used a lot is a cheap dollar store sponge. You know, the really thin ones that are about yay big. You know, they come in a bag. There's 3 or 4 of them, and they're kind of moist in the bag. I used that a ton when I had like 50 or so paintings I needed to varnish for my studio. So yeah, I definitely would recommend that. You just wipe it on and you're done really, really quick. So, all right, I thought I would actually show you how to varnish now. So you want to have a nice area for yourself, a table with maybe that you've protected. This is just a roll of paper that I use. It comes in really handy because I can fold it in half, turn it over, and reuse it again and again. And then you want to get yourself a paper towel, a styrofoam plate, and get your brush ready. I'm probably going to, I think I'll just use this one. I want to show you a specific technique that I learned a long time ago. And so what I'm going to do, you don't want to get too many bubbles in this. The idea is to just get it on quick and be done with it. You don't want to keep brushing into it too much. So I am going to pour out my varnish onto my styrofoam plate here. Oops, well, it came flying out. That's okay. If I have some left over, I probably will. I'll just pour it back in. So my brush is dry. I didn't pre-wet it or anything. And it's pretty simple. I'm just going to dip it in there. I'm going to do my edges first. There's my left edge. Turn it. Top edge. And I'm trying not to brush over an area too many times. This is thin, so it wants to drip. And so I'm learning not to put too much on my brush as I go. So now that the edges are done, I'm going to bring that, there's a little lip of varnish that came onto the front, so I'm going to even that out. And now I'm ready to go ahead and paint this very front part. So here's the idea. I'm going to kind of just do a regular vertical stroke on this. And then I'm doing this really, really quickly. And and I got a hair in there. Before it starts to really dry at all, I'm going to follow the brush strokes of the painting. So this is a small brush, but I chose that because of the technique I'm going to do. I'm going to show you that in just a second. So I'm just trying to brush this on as quickly as I can in a vertical motion. This is my little pineapple painting. I haven't taught this as a class yet, but I want to so bad. It's so much fun. So yeah, once in a while I'll do a brush stroke horizontally, but then I'll cover over it with a vertical stroke. I mostly want vertical brush strokes on this, even though really the brush strokes are going to kind of disappear. Sometimes they do show a little bit. So now that I have it covered, and I can tell that I have it covered because I'm kind of looking to the side. It's very easy to miss a spot, so you always want to do this where you can see the light hitting it from the side and you can see areas that you've missed. So I'm just going to go over and follow the brush strokes of my subject matter, just to give it that little extra little, je ne sais quoi. And that's it. That one is done. Okay, so now that I've had this on this sheet, I can take this entire thing and move it off of my work table and get another one to show you. So here's another one I'm going to varnish. And this time, let me get rid of this guy. I'm going to put him in a cup of water in my sink. So this time I'm going to use this nice soft white bristle brush, and you'll see how much quicker it is with a big brush like this. Again, I'm always going to do my edges first. You know, and I'm going around and double checking that I don't have any major drips coming off of there. And now that it's the edges are all done, I'm ready to do the front. And you can see this one goes much, much quicker. With a nice big brush, and I can just see the color coming alive as I'm doing this. So the final stroke that I do with this is just really, really light. I'm really just touching the tip of the brush and dragging it across. And I'm looking from the side to see if I have any really thick streaks. If I do, I mean, it's not that bad. It will level out. But I want to avoid having any really, really thick streaks. So I'm just going to show you one more. I'm going to move this guy aside to my other table. And I'm going to show you one more big one. It's also really, I think, a great idea. You can use the sponge one on the edge. You know, like this. Get all your edges done this way. And I really like getting those corners because it's going to really protect those corners. And the last edge is always kind of the hardest. Well, look how quick that was, how easy that was to do those edges. Okay, and then real quickly, I'm just going to do the front. And I know sometimes it looks a little bit scary when the varnish is going on, but it dries beautifully. Of course, you want to make sure that you haven't used anything that's, when it gets wet, is going to, you know, move. You have to use, this is over acrylic paint. Like, I wouldn't do this over watercolor. On a watercolor, I would have to use a spray varnish. So that is it. I do see a little bit of drippage on my edges, so I'm going to catch them with my little sponge. And then right away, I'm going to go wash out my brushes. And I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to follow the manufacturer's instructions on how long it takes to dry. I'll probably do a second coat. Sometimes they suggest several coats. Typically I'll do 2 coats though. So that's it.